Live from Washington, D.C., Sekulow Live. Phone lines are open for your questions right now. And now, Chief Counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, Sekulow.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. I want to start with this Planned Parenthood situation. President Trump made it a campaign promise to defund Planned Parenthood. And I want to say this at the outset. There is no constitutional right that Planned Parenthood has to taxpayer money. Let me say it again. There is no constitutional right that Planned Parenthood has to taxpayer dollars. Period. Now, they get upwards of $500 million a year, $500 million a year from Planned Parenthood, but they don't have a right to it. Yet Planned Parenthood, in a foreign shopping move, and a judge in Austin, Texas, a very liberal area, Jordan, of Texas, probably the most liberal area of Texas, decides that the state of Texas cannot withhold medical funding, Medicaid funding, after the disclosure of the videos. And the judge points to the fact that the videographers were indicted in Austin, Texas, or I think a neighboring county, who ultimately, by the way, were not only cleared, all the charges were dropped. That he doesn't bother to talk about. So this judge not only gets it wrong, but this is, again, Planned Parenthood's juggernaut. And understand what we're fighting here. When the president says we're going to beat Planned Parenthood, by the way, we've litigated against Planned Parenthood there successfully. We had a successful outcome in that litigation. We've litigated in Planned Parenthood and other places as well. But this is a real serious fight, and taking it a step further, the state of Texas was protecting our taxpayer dollars here, and that's unfortunate that this judge decided to go in a different direction.
Yeah, this goes to the Medicaid issue, and that's a state and federal government shared program, so this would have been the state funds that were provided to Medicaid, and the federal judge here, this is at the district court level, the very earliest stage, with a very nasty opinion against Texas. And the truth is that this is just a reminder about why this needs to be done at the federal level. Legislation needs to make it clear so these judges can't make it up on their own that Planned Parenthood is not entitled to any Medicaid funds whatsoever. That can be done through legislation. That can be done, even parts of that, through executive order.
Right.
It should be. Now, interesting to note here, this was not the U.S. government was not saying that Texas was wrong. We have a different administration now, an administration that supports the defunding of Planned Parenthood, and still this judge, without the U.S. government arguing that there was some federal issue, sides with the Planned Parenthood, the number one abortion provider
in the world.
And of course, they do the most abortions right here in the United States. Their foreign funding has been cut off by President Trump, but their U.S. funding continues to that tune of $500 million a year.
No taxpayer in Texas, and I would add no taxpayer in the United States anywhere, should have to subsidize the repugnant and illegal conduct of Planned Parenthood. And remember those videos. It wasn't that long ago that those videos came public, where you had the sale of fetal body parts. The judge in the decision also ignores the fact that Planned Parenthood's own admissions by their own abortionists said that they had to change the procedures they utilized in abortions to allow for fetal harvesting of body parts. The judge says there's no evidence. We've got a lot more ahead on this broadcast. We're talking about defunding Planned Parenthood. We're talking about the states having issues now. That's in litigation. We're going to court on that. Those states that want to defund Planned Parenthood should have the ability to do it. Planned Parenthood has no constitutional right to your taxpayer dollars, but there needs to be a bigger effort, and that is the defunding of Planned Parenthood, and I believe that's going to happen. We need your help on this. We need your support on this. Go to aclj.org and sign that petition right now, aclj.org, or call us at 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or aclj.org to defund Planned Parenthood.
The fight to protect life is intensifying. Now, with the Trump administration at the helm, efforts are ramping up to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider.
In reality, what abortion is the taking of an unborn child's life.
Planned Parenthood receives hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars each year. And at the ACLJ, we're working with the Trump administration and members of Congress to stop the flow of taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood.
America will look back on this season in history and will be mortified about what happened in the abortion industry.
I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know.
We're aggressively fighting on Capitol Hill to stop funding big abortion. The time to do that is right now. Add your name to our petition to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or you can add your name online, aclj.org.
Hey, welcome back to the broadcast, everyone. So we've got a decision out of the state of Texas where the state of Texas passed legislation to defund Planned Parenthood so they would not get Medicaid money because of their involvement in the sale of fetal body parts. Judge ruled against Planned Parenthood. And I want to say it again. Planned Parenthood has no constitutional right, zero constitutional right to your taxpayer dollars. And the president made a very direct statement about this. Do we have that bite? I want to play it because this is going to be a challenge on the national level here. This is the prelude. And by the way, I've got ACLJ lawyers already working on briefs in the case because it's now going to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. But here's what President Trump had said.
As far as Planned Parenthood is concerned, I'm pro-life. I'm totally against abortion having to do with Planned Parenthood. I wouldn't fund it. I would defund it because of the abortion factor.
All right. So the president said he's going to defund it because of the abortion factor. That's exactly what the state of Texas did here. Fan, what's the Congress move right now on this issue? Where's Congress looking?
Well, there's a couple of things, Jay, and you set it up right by saying there's no constitutional right to these dollars because, look, here in Washington, D.C., it's very clear that abortion advocates do believe they have a constitutional right to those dollars. I'll tell you two things. Number one, the official Democrat platform now includes repeal of the Hyde Amendment, which essentially says they have a constitutional right to those dollars. And then number two, Jay, remember what President Obama did when he left office. He essentially said states affirmatively have to fund Planned Parenthood. Now, that's a rule that the House of Representatives has already voted to roll back. That vote will be in the Senate next month. So I think we will roll that back. That's the congressional play here. But again, you set it up right. There is a faction in Washington, D.C. that believes there's a constitutional right to these dollars.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be very clear here, folks, on this. This goes to, I'd rather be funding the development of our national security, our border protections, than funding Planned Parenthood by $500 million, which is what they're getting every single year. And by the way, this is our money. $500 million. So we know we got a fight here, but that's okay. Well, we'll deal with the fight. Let's go ahead and take a phone call, Logan, or a comment.
Sure, let's go ahead. Let's go to Bobby, who's calling in Louisville, Kentucky. You're on the air, Bobby.
Hey, Bobby, go ahead. You're on the air.
Okay, I just wanted to ask you, Jay. I don't ever hear President Trump. I mean, I know what you just played, but when I ever see him on TV, which is just about daily, I never hear him talk about that or the Republican Party of the $500 million that's going.
Oh, this was it was a big campaign issue for the president. I mean, this was a huge campaign issue for President Trump. And the reason it hasn't been in the news, and I understand what you're saying, is because there has not been news until today. And now remember, they're working on it on a federal basis. That is the defunding at the federal level. It will be challenged by Planned Parenthood. And by the way, understand this also. And Bobby, everybody needs to understand this. When Planned Parenthood goes to court, our taxpayer dollars, are funding their ability to go to court.
Yeah, that's right. And I would remind you that one of President Trump's first actions after taking the oath of office was reinstating the Mexico City policy, which bars federal money going to Planned Parenthood International and other abortion providers that are overseas. So under the Obama administration, they didn't just get money in the U.S., they were actually getting money to perform the actual abortions. So that he stripped away that international funding immediately, and it also strips away funding for those who promote abortion. So it's not just the actual providers, but the promoters of abortion. So he's already taken steps to internationally impact the life issue. At the federal level, and what needs to happen in our own country is legislative change. We need to see legislation that strips away the Medicaid funding, the Title X funding from Planned Parenthood. And there's another step. You could institute what was called the Reagan rule as well, which would affect some of these funds.
Yeah, I think that's the angle that President Trump should pursue. That would go after those Title X dollars. It would affirmatively say not only can the states do this, Jordan, but they must not fund abortion providers. So those dollars actually flow to entities that provide family planning services, and they should do that. And Jordan, just to underscore the other point you made, this defunding on the Medicaid side of Planned Parenthood, that is in the reconciliation language in the Obamacare repeal package that both the House and the Senate are going to consider. And you know why it's there? It's because President Trump insisted that it stay in there. So I would argue that he's shown great leadership on that front.
I want to read from the opinion of this court, and one of our senior counsel, Malteri, put this analysis together this morning. But this is one of the judge's basis, Judge Sparks' basis, for denying Texas's decision to not fund Planned Parenthood. I want you to read it, and this is how absurd it is. And so you understand exactly what we're up against. Then, Logan, let's get either a phone call or a comment.
Sounds good.
A secretly recorded video, fake names, a grand jury indictment, congressional investigations, these are the building blocks of a best-selling novel rather than a case concerning the interplay of federal and state authority through the Medicaid program, said U.S. District Judge Sam Sparks. Now, let me break this down for you. A secretly recorded video? Yes, they were, which they were entitled to do under the law. Fake names? Investigative journalists don't have to give their names. They were cleared of that as well. A grand jury indictment? Yeah, there was a grand jury indictment against the videographers. The part the judge leaves off is this. That indictment was dismissed. The entire case was dismissed. Congressional investigations? Absolutely. The congressional investigations recommended criminal prosecutions. These are the building blocks of a best-selling novel rather than a case? No. This is what a case is all about. This is legislative history as to why the state of Texas took action here.
Yeah, and I think one of the things Planned Parenthood actually tweeted this out, Planned Parenthood in Texas. They tweeted out another quote from his opinion. There is no legitimate public interest in allowing Texas to complete its, now listen to this, planned terminations based on the current facts. I mean, he's using their
language,
abortion terminology to mock the state of Texas. I just want to explain to everyone how entrenched Planned Parenthood is in our judiciary, and it is why it takes congressional action so that these rogue judges do not have the opportunity. Mostly, so many at the district court level, that these judges are not allowed to make up the law as they go and rely on statute. That is one of the problems, is that they can point to, well, see, the federal government says it's okay, so the state, this becomes can the state then say no? But they don't just leave it there. This judge mocking the state of Texas, and obviously very supportive of the abortion industry. You always wonder how their families are tied to it, because in Texas especially, Planned Parenthood is some of its largest operations, and Planned Parenthood
we've litigated there.
And Houston is
successful.
I think it's their largest facility in the country.
It is. All right, let's get a comment or take a phone call, Logan. What do you want to do?
Let's actually go ahead and take a call. Let's go to Daryl in Florida on line 4. Daryl, you're on the air.
Hi, Daryl. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. God bless you. So, when the Defense of Marriage Act was passed, Obama just flat out said, we're not going to honor it. So when these activist judges override Trump's executive orders on immigration, and now this Texas one about funding Planned Parenthood, why can't they just say, we're not going to follow
it? Well, here's what it is. So this was not an executive order by the president. The executive order Jordan referenced on funding was that there be no overseas funding of Planned Parenthood or abortion-providing facilities. That is already changed, and that is not being challenged and will not be challenged successfully. What we're talking about here is the state of Texas, after getting the evidence on the Planned Parenthood matter, made the determination at the state legislative level to not fund Planned Parenthood, period. And I want to reiterate this. There is no constitutional right to funding for Planned Parenthood. They have no legal right for funds. And then there's this kind of misnomer that's out there. Jordan talked about the judges, but it's almost become part of the culture that Planned Parenthood gets this money. But the fact is, they're not entitled to. That'd be like saying the ACLJ's entitled to money. We're not entitled to money from the federal government unless we win a case against the federal government. Even there, you got to negotiate it. But this idea that they're somehow entitled because they are, after all, Planned Parenthood is not true.
Well, in fact, Jay, for the first time in decades, the abortion left here in Washington, D.C. Affirmatively believes exactly what you just said, that Planned Parenthood and other abortion providers do have a constitutional right to those dollars. It's an absurd argument, but they've made it a part of their platform, Jay. And I would say this, the one thing that the Trump DOJ can do is totally reverse the aggressive prosecution of states that the Obama administration did do when states would try to funnel these dollars. I think that has already happened, Jay.
want to play this sound because you know that one of the things the judges said was that in this decision also was that they didn't have to change the way in which they did abortions. Here is Planned Parenthood's own chief medical officer. Take a listen to this one. This is number 5.
I'd say a lot of people want liver. And for that reason, most providers would do this case under ultrasound guidance, so they'll know where they're putting their forceps.
So it's completely different than the way they normally do their procedure. So again, the judge, ignores this evidence. Logan, go ahead.
All right, yeah, comment came in. It seems like this is from Linda. Said, "Are these judges now legislating?" So that's a comment coming.
Well,
from Linda.
they are certainly look, and it's the abortion distortion factor, and it's Jordan. I said this a zillion times, but it's the truth. When the rules are about abortion, and when the case is about abortion, everything changes.
That's right. They never get treated the same. I mean, these are facilities. They don't have to meet basic ambulatory care centers. They perform invasive procedures where blood is lost, lives have been lost, people have lost their lives, not just the child's, but the mother's as well. People are having to be rushed to emergency rooms, and yet they don't have to have admitting privileges. The abortionist, if you want to call them doctors, they don't even have to have admitting privileges in hospitals. So they can perform procedures. Their centers you can't have any regulation at the state level of what the centers must meet, talking about cleanliness and the facilities. You couldn't do this you think about it.
A dentist's office couldn't do this.
No, absolutely not.
We have a lot more ahead here. We're going to take more of your calls, but I want to be very clear on this. There is I've said it before, I'm going to say it again, no constitutional right for Planned Parenthood to get our taxpayer money. And the states have the ability to say no to an entity that is fostering death. And that's what this is all about. That's what the abortion industry is all about. We need your help on that. We've got a petition up right now to defund Planned Parenthood. Join with us in that very, very important fight. Hundreds of thousands of you have. ACLJ.org. That's ACLJ.org or 1-877-989-2255. ACLJ.org or 877-989-2255. We'll be back with more in just a moment.
The fight to protect life is intensifying. Now, with the Trump administration at the helm, efforts are ramping up to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider.
In reality, what abortion is the taking of an unborn child's life.
Planned Parenthood receives hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars each year. And at the ACLJ, we're working with the Trump administration and members of Congress to stop the flow of taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood.
America will look back on this season in history and will be mortified about what happened in the abortion industry.
I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know.
We're aggressively fighting on Capitol Hill to stop funding big abortion. The time to do that is right now. Add your name to our petition to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or you can add your name online, aclj.org.
If you're just joining us, we got a lot to discuss, but I want to stay on this Planned Parenthood for a moment because it's your taxpayer dollars. And it's $500 million a year, $500 million, sometimes more. So you're talking about over a period of a couple of years, you're talking about billions of dollars here. So here's what we want to do. We're going to file a brief at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. This judge was wrong. I read the opinion. We're going to take your calls on this. Second half hour of the broadcast, we got some other things we want to discuss as well. So we got a lot to hit on this broadcast. But let's go ahead, Logan, and grab some phone calls.
Yeah, let's go ahead to David now, who's calling on the issue with the judges. Let's go to David in Boston, Massachusetts.
Hey, David, go ahead. You're on.
Hello, Jay. Thank you for having me on.
Sure.
Many-time caller. I've been searching and researching the question about these rogue judges who are supposed to accept cases based on U.S. constitutional law.
Yeah, and facts that are the real facts. Yeah, go ahead.
Constitutional law, but they don't. They make their laws based on their own personal preferences or biased opinions.
Yep.
My question is, does the government, like the state of Texas, do they have to follow the ruling, and
Sure.
what can be done to either...
Well, here's what happens. So the district court judge decision is the decision of the district. So, yes, it enjoins right now the state of Texas from not funding Planned Parenthood. The state of Texas will take this up to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. The Attorney General for Texas, Paxton, has already said, Jordan, that he's going to do that.
That's right.
And this, again, is separate from the federal issue on this. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, this will go up through the process. I think what could be interesting and unique here, I know that Attorney General Sessions is just now in place, and he's got to put his team together. But it would be interesting to see the U.S. government come alongside the state of Texas in a brief saying, actually, you know what? They can do this. We have no objection to this.
I have actually had that opportunity. I argued 2 cases involving the life issue at the Supreme Court of the United States, where Ken Starr was the Solicitor General then. John Roberts, the now Chief Justice, was his deputy, and they argued on our side, I think 3 times on abortion-related cases. So it makes a difference when you've got the United States government engaged with you. So, yeah, that's something that I think definitely will come into play. But then again, what is the current status, and I want to grab these phone calls, the current status of the law in Washington as far as change on that goes? They're talking about that in the ObamaCare repeal. It may be in there.
Well, yes, there is going to be language in the Obamacare repeal that would block Planned Parenthood from being eligible for these funds. That was in the bill that Congress sent to President Obama, and he vetoed it. It will be in the bill again. But again, Jay, I mean, I think Congress should make it very, very clear. Remove any ambiguity. They are trying to do that. But listen, it is going to be nice that the Obama DOJ is not going to be alongside the other side when this type of litigation goes forward. Although
I need to say this, I don't know if we're getting comments on this. It looks like all these government agencies, these states that are hostile and these organizations, they're all hiring the former Attorney General of the United States, Eric Holder. That's happening a lot.
Yeah, that is. I mean, he's already got a $25,000 a month retainer.
Just from one.
From the state of California.
Just California.
Just to file lawsuits against the Trump administration on it, basically every move.
Yep.
So not just on one issue that they're looking at, broadly stand in the way of Trump administration, whether it's legislation, executive orders. They've hired the Obama legal team to fight in federal court.
We've done a lot of media on the issue of Planned Parenthood. In fact, we've done a movie on this issue. Here's a little sample of Abortion, Inc.
In a landmark ruling, the Supreme Court today legalized abortions.
I'm proud to be here today speaking on behalf of Planned Parenthood.
I think what we need to look at is the business of abortion.
It's around $500 million that we're giving Planned Parenthood.
An organization that's chopping up children and selling the body parts.
They've been caught red-handed.
I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know.
We really did treat women like second-class citizens.
Planned Parenthood really is Abortion, Inc.
They believe that they're doing a service. Well, that child is in a surgical tray.
I would tell you that child has value.
Well, I think the greatest sin in the world is bringing children into the world.
All right, let's go ahead and take some phone calls.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Joy in Alabama on line 3.
Hi, Joy, you're on the air.
Hi.
Hey.
Yes, I just wanted to make a clarification for all of those that are seeking abortion. President Trump did not say that you cannot have an abortion. He just merely said he is pro-life. If you want to have an abortion, go pay for it.
Well, here's the thing. First of all, I view life as more sacred than just go pay for it. That's our view, and that's the position we advocate. We believe life is special, life is sacred, and you don't go destroying life. So I want to be clear on that. The president doesn't have the authority to outlaw abortion, okay? That is not what's even in play here. This is about funding. And as you said, we don't have to have American taxpayers funding this. We appreciate your call. Let's try to grab another call before the break here.
All right, let's go to Lindsay, who's calling on line 2.
Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, guys. I am praying for you and supporting you in every way possible.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work. My question is, if we have already fiscally proven that Planned Parenthood uses federal funding to provide the abortions, how can the federal government force me to pay for something?
Because this judge had completely ignored the evidence of the case. He laughs at congressional hearings as if Congress has no role. He laughs at the undercover videos. He makes a big deal that some of the videographers were indicted, doesn't bother to report that the indictments in Texas were dismissed. exist. So this is a judge that ignored the facts so that he could develop his theory of the case as if he was the advocate and not the umpire, and that's part of the problem here.
The other part of the problem is existing legislation. I mean, we now have a Republican Congress, House, and Senate. They need to fight hard to make sure that Planned Parenthood doesn't have any kind of legislation and any legislative history to use in federal court. That's what they do. They point to saying, see, the federal government says we can get these funds under Medicaid. And this is a program where the states and the federal government work together and share funds through Medicaid. It's a state-federal program. So that needs to be stripped. And then these judges, they can believe whatever they want, but they got no law to point to on the books about Planned Parenthood being eligible for these funds.
And that's why the fight on this, and we're taking it to court, folks. We're going to fight back on this. Well, that's going to do it for the broadcast today. Let me encourage you to stand with us in this fight against Planned Parenthood. You can make a big difference. Right now, go to aclj.org. That's aclj.org. Or call our toll-free number at 1-877-989-2255. That's aclj.org or 1-877-989-2255 to add your name to a petition to defund Planned Parenthood. No more taxpayer dollars. aclj.org. That's aclj.org or 1-877-989-2255. We'll see you next week.
The fight to protect life is intensifying. Now, with the Trump administration at the helm, efforts are ramping up to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood, the nation's largest abortion provider.
In reality, what abortion is the taking of an unborn child's life.
Planned Parenthood receives hundreds of millions of taxpayer dollars each year. And at the ACLJ, we're working with the Trump administration and members of Congress to stop the flow of taxpayer dollars to Planned Parenthood.
America will look back on this season in history and will be mortified about what happened in the abortion industry.
I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know.
We're aggressively fighting on Capitol Hill to stop funding big abortion. The time to do that is right now. Add your name to our petition to defend life and defund Planned Parenthood. Call 1-877-989-2255. That's 1-877-989-2255, or you can add your name online, aclj.org.
When a woman gets pregnant, their motherly instincts just kick right into gear. It's how we're wired, it's how we're created, and I short-circuited mine.
I still remember staring up at that bright light and counting backwards from 10.
It was very, very painful. I've never felt pain like that in my life. I remember the nurse giving me sedation, and she just kept rubbing my arm, shushing me.
I didn't want the baggage because I had a vision for my life, and it didn't include children.
When I found myself pregnant, Roe v. Wade had just happened. It was all in the news. I called my doctor. He said, no problem. We can take care of it.
I was told that it was just a blob of tissue. I wasn't given any choices as far as ultrasounds or why don't you go home, think about it, and then come back. Nothing like that. There was nothing positive.
When I stood up, and I fainted. I think I fainted because of the horror of what I had done. I realized that I was missing a large part of me.
I actually ended up being pretty volatile and got a little physical with the nurse. I slapped her across the face. And I remember because I didn't want anyone to see me. I didn't want anyone to know. They don't let you walk back out the front. There's a private exit. And later on in life, I wondered, had I seen someone like me in the state I was in at that moment after that abortion walk out back out the front clinic, maybe I wouldn't have done it.